we really need to nail down, as best we can, what capitalism is. And like you've raised free markets or market ideology,
Mm,
which I think is central. But, many people always bring up the idea, oh, there's always been markets and like, there's always been money and stuff like that. So like,
mm,
haven't we always been capitalists, but just maybe a different form of capitalism, or capitalism has always been around, man, like, all that
mm,
sort
mm,
of rhetoric that you hear. And like at on face value of when you first hear it, it does take you back because we see the world in a certain way today in the 21st century. And we're so used to money and living in market societies that we
mm,
can't really imagine the world any other way. And the way that we're indoctrinated into the system with all the propaganda that is thrown at us all the time, and the fact that we're just surrounded by consumerism and advertising and all that sort of stuff, we really can't imagine life where you don't actually exchange some form of currency, whether that be imaginary or real in the form of
mm,
cash or, using your credit card to actually make life work and see all the things around us.
mm,
And so yeah, there might have been forms of exchange out there and there might have been marketplaces, but
mm,
capitalism is quite unique in the sense that it is, for me, comes down to absolute fundamentals. So it is about free market exchange based on those liberal principles that you were talking about
mm,
before that came out of the American Revolution, the French Revolution,
mm,
or they culminated actually in those events. They
mm,
were in the background working their way through society, through bourgeois culture for a long
mm,
time. But like they are the things that you're talking about: liberty, equality,
mm,
and then property. And property is really the cornerstone of capitalism, right
mm,
there, in the sense of private property. So that is being able to own and control exclusively property in which you invest in to make money. I'm not talking about personal property. I'm talking about things like you said before that are
mm.
like the means of production, things
Yeah,
that will make a return. And that's what capitalism is about and what separates it from any other form of society. There's lots
yeah,
of societies where they had cash and they paid workers and all that sort of stuff, or they had marketplaces and they traded goods and all this sort of stuff. But in capitalism, the idea, and like, this is very much a Marxist
mm,
analysis, but I don't
yeah,
think people really dispute this too much,
mm,
especially, I guess, in revolutionary radical and leftist circles. But
mm,
it is the formula: money, commodity to money, and
mm,
the output money being larger than the original input money. Most
mm,
market systems or societies with some level of exchange and
yeah,
trade and all that sort of stuff go commodity money, commodity. You start off with a commodity and you exchange that for money so you can pull out a commodity in the end. But
mm,
like capitalism specifically is having money, so
mm,
capital. Most of the time, it's a
yeah,
capital. It starts with a money form capital, and you put that into a system somehow to make a commodity or trade with a commodity or bet on a commodity, if you will, somehow. And then you pull out more money
mm,
than you put in the first place. And so, thereby, a key feature of capitalism compared to anything else, because you might have money to see money, commodity money exchange in other systems, fine. But the key component of capitalism is that it requires continual growth. And that is a
yes,
big criticism of capitalism at all
mm,
times, because in order for you to have money here and pull out more money there, the system has to keep growing.
yes,
It has to come, like stuff has to come from somewhere. And that is a massive criticism that I'm sure we're going to get to when we actually start talking
mm,
about the anti capitalism, is the fact that for some reason, and this is just widely accepted by everyone, that, well, it is just actually a fact that in order for capitalism to really to work, you need continual growth. And
mm,
like, it's 3%, I think, is the magical number that thing by which things like naturally will grow by.
mm,
Or like they want at least 3% growth, like, on a national scale or globally, whatever, to have a healthy capitalist system going. So, you know, people are inputting stuff at the start and pulling out more, and there's always got to be extra money and extra stuff being pumped into the system. And so, like, capitalism by design or by its very nature leaves nothing uncommercialized or unmarket, becomes like everything becomes marketized in a way. There's nothing left sacred on planet Earth anymore. Everything will succumb to the market, which is the neoliberalism that you were talking about
Yeah.
before. Like, before, there were limitations on capitalism in the liberal ideology or the liberal way of doing things,
Yeah.
because they believed in something. Neoliberalism, forget it. Like, that's it. It's just everything is open to the market now to expand capital at all costs, because it's reached a point where it's just this uncontrollable beast now at a global scale, and it's just devouring everything in its path, really. And so, yeah, capitalism is like, it's hard to really put your finger on what it is, but if you can try and draw it back to those fundamentals, then, like, you've got some form of a building block, but it's everything in there and so much more.